This is Brent coming at you with another progressions video. In this video we're going to do progressions of vastus medialis obliquus activation, or VMO activation. Now, admittedly, this is not one of my favorite activation exercises. I do believe that most knee issues come from either ankle or hip dysfunction, and it is more important to address those issues to ensure that the knee functions optimally. But most VMO activation exercises, the VMO is still important, do work on terminal extension. All right, and that terminal extension, that last few degrees of extension, is very important to function. I'm gonna have my friend Leanne come out. She's gonna help me demonstrate this exercise. The first thing we're gonna start with is an exercise we actually already did in something called quad sets and progressions. We're gonna do this just to start stimulating her quad before I take her into a more integrated movement pattern. Now, if this is a progression, I'm working towards the end. I'm trying to get Leanne back to her Tough Mudders and all the other crazy races that she does. Right? I'm gonna work on just that terminal extension. So the way we work on range of motion with quad sets is we put the foot up on a pillow or a dowel or this pillow thing. We go ahead and put a little towel under their knee as a tactile cue. And now I have her try to squeeze the towel. And since this is raised up, she works on that end range extension. To resist that, this almost goes back to what I was talking about before with ankle and hip being more important to knee dysfunction. I'm actually going to resist her through tibialis anterior activation and then the quad set. And just the whole way this lever is set up, she will get some resistance on her quad. I'm going to have her use that 2-4-2 count. All right, so she's going up for 2, holding that isometric for 4, and then back nice and slow for 2. I'm going to have her do 12 to 20 reps. This is the first exercise. Then to get her further warmed up to start integrating this, I'm going to go ahead and progress that TKE, that total knee extension you guys saw in a previous video. So let's go ahead and flip this around. Now what Leanne's going to set herself up to do is it's going to look like she's setting up for that total knee extension exercise. Except I'm going to have her take a step back with this foot now, and she's going to set herself up for a static lunge. So it's that same exercise. It's still resisted terminal knee extension, only now I have her working through a larger range of motion in a little bit more functional pattern. A couple notes here, guys. Notice that the band is not set up straight this way. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but I have a little bit of an angle this way to try to pull her into adduction and internal rotation. What that's going to stimulate is abductor and external rotator activation, aka glute stimulation. I want her to use her glutes as much as possible. All right, so we know that a lot of knee dysfunction happens from that inability to eccentrically decelerate that adduction and internal rotation force. We need as much glute activity as we can. So she's going to go ahead and reach down with this hand, touch that toe. So she's lengthening her glutes maximally by internally rotating, right, and flexing. Now she's going to squeeze her glute, squeeze her quad, and lock her knee on the way up, making sure she's driving through this front leg. She's going to go ahead and do this, let's say 19 more times. You got it in you?
Sure.
You guys can up the resistance on these bands. This exercise can be done with a fair amount of weight. I know my larger athletes use the cable column, and we actually use, if you guys ever seen those straps for the hanging leg raises, which I'm not recommending, we'll use those same straps, put them around the lower legs so that we can use a cable column machine and get up in a little bit more weight. I didn't say you could stop.
Oh.
All right, guys, so this is our progression from TKEs to make sure we're getting more glute stimulation. We're making sure that we're activating the quad through a larger range of motion. We're getting better VMO activity, at least what we can, throughout a larger range of motion, and getting Leanne more prepared for the activity she does, in this case sport being all of these adventure races, I guess you'd call them, being the Tough Mudders and the zombie runs and everything else she does. I hope you guys enjoy these progressions. I'll talk with you soon.